Um, Small dribble. Yeah? No? Right. As soon as you come off the ground, toe must come up. Toe up. Yeah?
No niin, mennään eteenpäin.
Okay. So this is what I call a dribble. People call it ankling. People do it over small hurdles, but we call it a dribble. We like to do small dribbles, medium dribbles, and big dribbles. By the time you get to a big dribble, it's near enough like sprinting. Small, medium, big. But even in a small dribble, you can start to figure out what are the athletes good at, what are their habits, what aren't their habits.
Triplauksesta niin sanotusti niin pystyy tietysti näkemään, missä urheilija on hyvä ja miten hän tässä toimii, ja voidaan sitten arvioida, että miten tuosta päästään niin kuin eteenpäin.
Okay, it's like a small sprint, small. And again, I really like the way Jasmine does that. Can you do it a bit bigger now? Bigger.
Joo, tää menee hyvin. Vähän korkeammalta.
So, one of the key things we're looking for, let me do one more, even bigger now.
Edelleen korkeammalta pyöräytyksiä.
Good, same, bigger.
Sama homma, just näin.
So what we can look at, I've got hardly anything to correct of these guys, so that's good. But what we can start to look at is what is the cycle we want in upright sprinting. There's two options. When you finish pushing, there's two options to get your leg back ready to run again. What we want to see is the knee and the hip flex at the same time. So what we want to see is a bend at the same time. What we don't want to see is the knee to bend first before the hip, which goes back to my heel to hamstring movement. If you feel heel to hamstring, then the leg, literally as soon as you finish on the ground, the leg will be in front, ready to strike. What interferes with that is how much time it takes for the athlete to produce force on the ground. At slower speeds, it's easier, but at faster speeds, that starts to be the distinguishing factor between good athletes and great athletes. I want to start like that. Yeah, like what you just did. Again. And by halfway, I want you to start running, start sprinting. Yeah, so you start there, you get bigger, 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 and go. Yeah?
Laajenee pikkuhiljaa ja sitten päätyy ihan normaaliin pikajuoksuun tuossa vaiheessa.
Okay, yes.
She run better than.
Yes. Yes. So we'll see one more. You start from there.
No niin, otetaan yksi sieltä päin lähtien.
You go again. So I see two different profiles there. I see Jasmine, who can really rip her foot off the ground. That flexion reflex she can do really, really well. But what she maybe doesn't do so well is use that position to produce force. Her hip kind of stays level to the ground. It doesn't really oscillate. And her leg kind of lands with too much flexion in the knee. So you can tell her hip flexors are well developed. And maybe the focus needs to be on making sure the posterior chain is more activated, more innovative. So the simple fix for me is to hit the ground harder and to bounce higher. She has to feel that at the moment, if her hip feels like it's here, she has to feel like she can run at this position with a higher hip. And with that hip height comes a different coordination pattern, a different strength requirement for the glute. The angle is in a different position. The isometric abilities are developed at a specific angle. So now if I'm asking her to be at this angle, at this height, her hamstring and glute will have to learn how to be strong, stiff, elastic at this length. So that isometric phase is very linked to when she has late swing and the leg comes back down, what angle is she happy to contact the ground at? Is she happier at this angle because the quad can be more involved, or what I would like her to do is to be happier at this angle, which is far more involvement of the hamstring. So simply as a coach, I will tell her to hit the ground harder, more under her body, and be taller. And John, he's different. I feel like he's strong. I feel like he's powerful. I feel like force output isn't the issue. They've almost got two different ends of the spectrum. But I don't feel like it's a habit to get his heel to the hamstring and work the ground. Stay bouncy. Yeah?
No niin, nyt on ohjeet annettu ja
Stop.
annetaan lisää ohjeita.
Even from here, you must pick it up straight away. You can't start, just because it's small doesn't mean you do this. Yeah?
Remember the heel.
Yeah. Yeah?
Kantapää mielessä alusta lähtien.
Okay, good. Keep going up. Good. And go forward more. Good. Keep going up. Keep going up. Keep going up. So it's quite interesting with him. He can do the positions nicely, but as soon as he comes into speed, he loses this pickup. When he gets any faster, he has to spend more time on the ground.
Eli
So that is just basic rate of force development. Reactivity, explosivity. So even though he's explosive in one-off movements, you can tell he could probably jump very high. You can tell he can produce force at slow speeds. But as soon as the speeds increase, he has to spend more time to produce that force. So Jasmine got the understanding. She understood what I want and she did it. She did it well. So the next step for me is making sure she does it even better. So let's go back. No. Reactivity, explosivity is driven by the hip and the knee and ankle. Short ground contacts are more to do with the knee and ankle stiffness, and force production is more to do with the hip. So athletes that are more used to using the ankle and foot, when they are at slower speeds or when the requirement is low, they tend to shut off the hip because they know they can get enough from the ankle. So even at slow speeds, even at small movements, I want to see the right proportion of hip and ankle in use. Okay, let's go. Good, up higher. Good, good. Now, add some forward. Keep that up, keep that up, keep that up, add forward, keep that up.
No.
Is there a difference?
Oliko havaittavissa eroja? Kommentteja?
Yeah? Okay, fine. So, I have to go with you. Can you translate for me to him?
That's right.
Tell him this beginning is nice, but Towards the end, he has to get off the ground.
Maybe he stays too long on the ground.
Yeah.
And that's openpi contact.
Okay, me. Go forward, go forward, go forward.
Pelkistetty ohje.
So sometimes when you go forwards, when you want to go, this happens. Yeah? You must always squeeze. Yeah? So you must always feel this. Yeah.
No niin, lantion asentoon kiinnitetään huomiota myös niin kuin alussa hitailla nopeuksilla. Ei kelpaa, uusiksi meni.
I know it's not good when you leave the ground and your toes are pointing. Yeah? As soon as you leave the ground, toes up, ready for the ground.
Eli jo irrotusvaiheessa tuolla jalassa pitää niin kuin varpaat nousta ylös. Ei saa jäädä
You want to think
laahaamaan.
about hitting the ground before you actually hit it. You can't wait and then decide. When the leg is here, you're already hitting the ground. Yeah?
Eli tuossa jalan kontaktissa sitä pitää jo ajatella
Good.
tietoisesti.
Push up higher. Good.
Etukäteen.
Keep the height. Keep it. Keep it.
Nyt oli korostusta siinä, että lantio pysyisi korkealla. Was it correct?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
niin. Menee paremmin. What's for him? The same. Faster, faster.
Yes. Faster, faster.
No niin, sama homma. Hyvä alku ja sitten maksiminopeusvaiheessa niin kuin nopeampaa kontaktia.
Good. Get off the ground. Get off, 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 off. And it makes sense that that's how he is because he's ran 7.0, he's ran 11.1, but he's jumped 7.43. It doesn't correlate in my head.
So means he should jump less or...
Off of the speed, he should jump less. And because he doesn't jump less off of the speed, that means he's a strength jumper.
Okay.
Okay.
Easy.
Straight leg scissors. Yeah?
This is track and field.
As fast as you want.
Track and field.
Yes.
Okay, what was the point?
So straight leg scissor drill. For me, it's a great way to strengthen and stiffen the hamstring. It's a great way to work on isometric stiffness ready for the contact.
Pitämiseen.
It's also a great way to start to understand the dynamics for the athlete. At smaller speeds, where do they land on the ground? How high do they push the hip? How long do they spend on the ground? How far behind the hip does the ankle go? At faster speeds, what happens? Does everything grow together? Does stride rate and stride length grow together? Does hip height grow as well? Does the contact stay beneath the body, or do they start to have to drift out in front? 9 times out of the 10, the issues you see here, the dynamics you see here, you will also see in max velocity sprinting. So it's a great opportunity for me and the athlete to develop a language very early in training. From week 1, we're doing all of these drills. So even if you can't incorporate max velocity sprinting until after GPP, until maybe 8, 10, 12 weeks after training, you can start to work on the key things very early on.